So since we last spoke, 50 Cent just cooked Diddy so bad that people are now saying Diddy put out a hit on his life. We just saw one of the biggest deals announced in Hollywood history, which could ultimately reshape the way that we watch movies and series forever. Thousands of women in Iran ran a marathon without hijabs, and now the government is cracking down hard. The World Cup draw happened, and it is going down as one of the most hated ever. And the shield built around Chernobyl can no longer confine radiation after it was hit by a drone strike. Oh, brilliant. All of that and so much more. Subscribe to the channel if you're happy that we're able to put these videos out regardless of where we are in the world. But I think we stop the yapping and let's get with Zaddy's very strange shoes. Okay, we're gonna start today with one of the funniest stories we've covered in a while. So, as we spoke about on Friday, the Diddy documentary has gone #1 worldwide. In fact, it overtook Stranger Things. 50 Cent posted that it's now #1 in 23 countries and #2 in 15 others. But you know, for 50 Cent, I don't think that he was done just releasing a bombshell documentary that's gone global. Because just a couple of days ago, he decided, you know what? Let's go on interviews on the news about this as well. So he went on Good Morning America and NBC News, and he did an interview about the whole documentary, and boy, I've never seen... Look at his face! I've never seen 50 Cent this happy.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
Honestly, if you watch this whole interview, he is smiling from ear to ear the entire time. And rumor has it, and if this is true, this is just golden trolling. Apparently, he only did these interviews with these news stations because he found out that that's what they put on in the morning at Fort Dix, which is where Diddy is being held. Now, I don't know if you watched the documentary yet or not. I haven't yet, but in there's apparently all of this footage literally from a cameraman following Diddy around to the point where he is on the phone with his lawyer while he is in all of these legal problems before he got arrested. Like, how? I mean, just the fact that this was even recorded, undocumented, on camera is crazy enough. But the fact that it ended up on Netflix begs the question everyone is asking, how, 50? How did you get this footage? And this was his reply.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you know, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
Now, he was also asked about what Diddy was intending to use this footage for. This was his reply.
What was he intending to use it for?
I have no idea what he was doing that for.
I mean, you know,
Bro, this is the face of a man who has been waiting to drop this for years. Now, some people are saying online that it was actually the videographer who filmed all of this and he was never actually paid by Diddy for doing all of this work because the whole trial went wrong and he ended up going to prison. But that's not confirmed. However, you know, it sounds reasonable. Now, as I also mentioned on Friday, Diddy and his legal team were pissed when they actually found out what was used in this Netflix documentary, because they're probably wondering, how the hell did he get access to this footage? Even Diddy's own lawyer didn't know that things were being recorded when they were on that phone call. So Diddy is just being screwed big time. Now, apparently they're even considering taking legal action, but Netflix say that all of the footage was acquired legally. So he might just have to write it off as a loss. Now, this is the part where things take a little bit of a darker turn if this turns out to be true, because after the documentary aired, 50 Cent posted a picture that Diddy sent him flowers. And while he wasn't the one that said this, a lot of people in the comments were saying that this was a symbol that Diddy was putting a hit out on 50's life because they were apparently funeral flowers. Now, I'm not exactly sure what makes these funeral flowers. I guess you could just say that they are. But even in this documentary, apparently 50 Cent lays out a lot of evidence himself that Diddy has, in fact, allegedly, put out hits on many people's lives, including Tupac and, you know, others. So if that is ultimately true, then this beef, who knows where it could end. Comments read, 50 upgraded rap beefs from recording diss tracks to producing diss documentaries. Keep in mind, this whole documentary is from the guy that once commented, "You know there ain't no seat on that bike, right?" Oh, and just to top it all off, this is my favorite clip from the whole interview.
My favorite hero.
I have a lot of guys that I look up to their accomplishments, but I wouldn't call them my heroes.
Right. You don't wear another man's jersey on your back.
Yeah.
Respect. Your favorite villain.
My favorite villain? I kind of like Diddy.
Yeah, I think we gotta say it. Give it up for a performance of a lifetime. 50, you've outdone yourself. Bro, people said that there is a reason 50 Cent got shot 9 times. Alex, really make sure that you're putting a picture of his happy face as I say that. Anyway, moving on. Talking about Netflix though, something huge has happened in the past couple of days, and it genuinely might change the way that people watch TV shows and movies forever. You see, on December the 5th, Netflix and Warner Bros. Announced that they reached a binding deal. Netflix will buy Warner Bros. Film, TV studios, and streaming business for $82 billion, including debt. 82 billion is crazy. But just think about what that means. Netflix, which was not long ago considered the new kid on the block, is now absorbing one of the oldest, most powerful legacy studios in Hollywood. And I don't think people understand how significant this is. Warner Bros. Is over a century old, and what they've made is literally woven into the DNA of what modern film is. They own franchises and titles that have defined generations. We're talking Harry Potter, The Dark Knight, all of the DC films, Friends, f***ing hell. Sorry, Alex, beep that out. Game of Thrones, Alex's it's all of our favorite, but I could go on. And it's not just about what they've made in the past, it's also what they currently have, namely HBO, that has like 130 million subscribers. And then if you add that on top of Netflix's 300 million, you don't just get the world's biggest streaming service, you get one that is now arguably untouchable compared to the rest. And I guess that leads us to ask the next question. Is this actually good for the industry and the consumers? Because on the one hand, having one giant company owning more and more, it gives us, the consumer, less options to move away from Netflix. Let's say, for example, they start hiking the prices up. We don't really have great options. Who wants to move to Hulu or I don't know, what else is there? And that's not great. But on the other hand, when these two combine, it will create one of the largest catalogs of content ever assembled. And that could be quite nice. None of us like having to subscribe to 10 different streaming services because all of them have like 1 or 2 good shows. It would be ideal to pay one, bigger price, but we get everything on there. But I think there's even a deeper level to this, because I think it's kind of a scary sign for cinema in general. Because if this deal proves one thing, it's that streaming is the future. Cinema's golden age is over. And I mean, hopefully these streaming services, they start, releasing a lot of their stuff in the cinema so we can still have that feeling of watching movies together. But there's no guarantee. We might be living in a future in 10 years where we all just get it in our living rooms. And no more cinema. They're already finding it hard to stay open today. Imagine when everything is owned by a streaming service like Netflix. The vice president and research director at an analyst firm called Forrester said to the BBC, "The trajectory is clear. The future is all streaming. With this deal, it is official. Legacy media is ending." That's pretty crazy. But ultimately, let me know what you guys think. Are you happy that legacy media is evidently dying? Or do you think that the likes of Netflix, who are replacing them, are ultimately not any better? Always interested to hear what you guys think, but for now, moving on. Okay, also we got to talk about what is going on in Iran right now. So on Friday, there was a marathon in the city of Kish, which involved thousands of runners taking part. And according to this Iranian journalist, their athletics federation tried to stop the marathon because women refused to wear hijabs. However, as you can see by the pictures and videos, that effort failed, and many women ended up running with their hair out. And you gotta understand, that's a pretty big deal in the country, because in Iran, you can be arrested by the morality police for doing this. You could be jailed, beaten, and much worse, which I won't even go into, for doing something like that. Obviously, that doesn't happen to every woman that goes out without a hijab, but those things that I mentioned are real-life cases that have happened to women as a consequence before. Now, here's where things get pretty crazy, because since the marathon took place, Iranian officials have responded to it as, quote, an unacceptable challenge to the status quo. Iran's judiciary now see that they have arrested 2 of the marathon's organizers for allowing women who are not wearing hijabs to even take part in this marathon. Now, what happens to those 2 people, I have no idea, but I don't imagine it's going to be good. But that same Iranian journalist said on the matter, the Islamic Republic is basically treating hair and jogging as a national security threat. Total madness. Videos show women running freely. The regime's response to that is arrest and intimidation. One woman told me, they can't silence thousands of us. We won't obey a stupid rule. But let me know what you guys think about this situation. For now, moving on. Also, over the weekend, we had the official World Cup draw, and oh my lord, people hated it. Now, we are getting ready for the largest World Cup in history, but also the first ever to be hosted by 3 different nations. And the draw to see which teams are going to be in which groups, well, it also made history for being long as hell. It was a staggering 2.5 hours, and I don't think I've seen a single person speak positively about it.
You're telling me in 1 hour of the World Cup draw, all they did was announce 3 nations. The Prime Minister, and President announcing their own nation. Canada, Mexico, and Donald Trump's United States of America. The amount of times I heard soccer in a World Cup draw. Bro, in the 1 hour, all we had was Robbie Williams singing, Andre Bocelli singing, Lauryn Hill singing, Infinito loving Trump, Trump loving Infinito. 0 draws done. Besides the 3 that's hosting the World Cup. It feels like I'm in High School Musical.
Now, of course, because it was America, they did not hold back from just bringing in every celebrity they could, even if they had nothing to do with football or at all. They got Kevin Hart and Heidi Klum to host it. They had Shaq, Tom Brady, Matthew McConaughey, Samala Hayek. You get the point. There was even a point where Kevin Hart was like plugging his Netflix special in a draw for a World Cup. Like, what even is this? But outside all the unnecessary songs and performances and people, I think this part probably goes somewhere in the top 3 of the most painful parts to watch.
Only the Americans, right? So 1, 2, 3.
Boy.
USA. Now the Canadians. Are you ready, Canadians? Canada, 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 right? The same, huh? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. And now our Mexican friends. 1, 2, 3. México, México. Vamos. 1, 2, 3.
But somehow it gets even crazier because FIFA, remember, a footballing organization, they created a peace prize, right? They have never had this prize ever before. And so they decided, yeah, we're going to do a peace prize this year. And then, of course, they gave it to Trump. Is that some reference to him not winning the Nobel Peace Prize? And so they're like, all right, we'll just create our own to then give to Trump? I don't get it. Like, again, regardless of who it was given to, what is FIFA got to do with geopolitics? And they didn't even give any details about the process for choosing a winner. They just created it and and you know, as a football fan, seeing all of this, it felt bloated and performative. Like, let's be honest, we all just wanted to see what teams are going to be in what groups. And if anything, the big spectacle in the show, I think it detracted from that. I mean, just look at all of the comments whenever you see a video on this. The worst World Cup event ever. We owe Qatar an apology because they got laid into for the last one. Now, in saying all of that, I think there was one good thing that came out of this whole thing. And that was Shaq saying this.
You know what they call me in the soccer world?
Oh.
David Blackham.
I'm not gonna lie, this definitely worries me slightly for the World Cup because it feels like there is the danger of it being overly commercialized and sensationalized and made, you know, like tried too hard. Like the World Cup is a competition where you don't need to try too hard to put on all of the extra fancy stuff. The football is good enough, but who knows? Fingers crossed, it could be the best one yet. But what do you guys think? Is the US, Mexico, and Canada gonna cook it? Or is it going to be the best World Cup we have ever seen? Thoughts in the comments. Moving on. Also, since we last spoke, police in Italy have uncovered what might be one of the most insane cases of pension fraud maybe ever. I might say it. In fact, the person being accused is now being nicknamed Mrs. Doubtfire, which, you know, I think a lot of us are going to be too young to understand that reference. It's just an old film, I believe, of Robin Williams, and he dresses up as a woman to... Alex, I don't know, maybe you explain.
First of all, the movie is not that old. Second of all, gotta stop throwing around that old label, Dylan. Age catches up with us all. Dude, this Doubtfire is actually pretty weird. It's a movie about a guy who loses custody of his children. And in order to see his children again, he applies for a job as a nanny. The ex-wife. So he cross-dresses as an old Scottish woman called Miss Doubtfire so that he can be around his children, which I think is a felony. Anyway, it gives him the chance to raise his children, but as someone else, which is super weird. Anyway, eventually everyone finds out, and he ends up with a TV show as the character with a pet monkey, which just makes me wonder, how many drugs were they taking in Hollywood back then? Guys, be quiet!
Thank you very much for that, Alex. We appreciate your... This is what we get. We have some maturity on the channel with Alex. He balances things out. So, a 57-year-old man in Italy is accused of dressing up as his elderly mother to keep cashing her pension checks years after she died. His own mother. And I'm not talking about a little tiny little chuck on a wig here. No, no, no. New surveillance footage exclusively released by TMZ shows him fully committed. We're talking wig, makeup, old lady's clothes, walking with the cane, hobbling into this government registry office. Now, they allege that he was trying to renew his mother's expired ID, you know, to keep them pension payments rolling. But it's at this point, after successfully collecting it for years, that the whole scam started to unravel, and it turned into something really freaking dark. So when this guy entered this office, one of the council workers noticed that something was, let's say, off. You know? According to Italian media, the woman had a neck described as looking like a tree trunk. The wrinkles on the face seemed unnatural. The hands didn't match those of an 85-year-old woman, which is the age his mother would have died. And then, of course, there was the voice. The voice was deep and not granny-like. So this office worker called the police, and once they actually compared the pictures of the real old lady to the person that came in, they noticed, okay, yeah, this was actually the son dressed up as her. So the police end up luring this guy back to the office under the pretense of, you know, signing some extra paperwork to get the final ID all good. But then they immediately arrested him on the spot. But it's at this point that I don't think anyone imagined what they were about to discover. So they go back and they search this guy's apartment and they find his mother's body. And remember, this is years after she passed away, so it was mummified, it was wrapped in freaking bed sheets and sleeping bags, and it was hidden in his laundry room. Investigators say that he didn't report her death to authorities so that he could continue collecting these pensions, and he's just been living beside her, alongside her in this house for years. He was also accused of removing the fluids from her body with a syringe to prevent decomposition. And an autopsy is now being ordered to determine how she died, because they're now also wondering, you know, was there foul play? Did he kill her? Now, he will remain in a local jail cell until prosecutors await the results of the autopsy. So yeah, what started out as, you know, the funny Mrs. Doubtfire kind of ridiculous scam actually turns out to be something pretty dark and horrific. So yeah, moving on. And then, the last story of the day, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, well, they just came out and said that the protective shield built around Chernobyl can no longer confine radiation after it was hit by a drone strike. For f***'s sake. 2025 is just trying to get the last little bits in there, huh? Because they know we're about to wrap. So, for context, just so you know how wild this situation is, all the way back in 1986, after the explosion of the reactor, the Soviet Union built this emergency concrete containment shell, often called the sarcophagus, to trap all of the radioactive debris, dust, and fuel inside. But that structure, the sarcophagus, was only meant as a temporary solution. It was never meant to last decades. So, in the 1990s, they realized, all right, we need to do something, we need to build something more long-term. That is when the new safe confinement, the NSC for short, was built, and that was supposed to be the solution. It's this enormous arch-shaped steel dome that is built to slide over the previous old one, the sarcophagus, and it effectively seals off the radioactive core for 100 years it could last. But now, according to the IAEA, a drone strike, which happened on the 14th of February, love is in the air and also radiation, pierced the outer shell of the NSC, it caused a fire in the insulation layers, and it caused a breach in the roof area. They say that the NSC has, quote, lost its primary safety functions, including its confinement capability. So, what does that mean? Are we cooked, chat? Well, in theory, experts say that this basically risks radioactive dust from the inside of the sarcophagus to escape. Now, that would not only be dangerous for the inhabitants of, near the exclusion zone, but potentially for the wider areas too, depending on the weather, the wind, the contamination spread, etc. And if that happens, that would undo a lot of the progress that we've made since 1986. So, sounds fun. They are now recommending major renovations to prevent this from happening. Damn, that is crazy to think about, huh? How that is gonna be radioactive in Chernobyl for hundreds and thousands of years, and humans just really cooked forever. This one little part of the planet. There's no waiting for that one to blow over and just be, I'll just be chill one day. No. We're cooked. Anyway, I think that is a wrap for the day. I'm actually losing sunlight, so it's getting pretty dark in here. Next time we speak, I will be in China! And that's our version for the next time that we speak. So, I hope you guys have a fantastic... What day is it today? Sunday. Oh, start to the week. And I will see you all in China. Woo!
Oh my God. This, what the fuck do we do? Do we go downstairs?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Should we go outside? No, but like for seriously, like right now.
Bruh.
What the fuck do we actually do? Should we go downstairs to be safe?
Oh my God, maybe we can't find the window.
What the fuck do you do in this situation?
No carpet.
Bro, that is fucking weird, man. No. That is the building is moving. Okay, so turns out what we felt was real. This was not an exaggeration. An earthquake has just hit. They're saying 7.6 magnitude earthquake. So this is Japan's meteorological agency, 7.6, 11:15 off of the coast of Amori. Here we've got CNN doing breaking news, 7.6 magnitude earthquake. Powerful earthquake strikes off the coast of Japan, triggers tsunami warning. This is so freaking crazy. I was literally in the middle of sending a voice note as the whole building was shaking. Listen to this.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, Little Africa. It's the biggest African population. Holy shit. Is that a f***ing earthquake?
Oh my God.
That's a earthquake.
Oh my God.
It literally felt like you're on a rocking boat. And this earthquake is so far away from Tokyo. The fact that we could feel it all the way here is insane. But holy shit, guys. There you go. Reporting from the center of where a freaking earthquake is struck. What the fuck?